Deus Ex, an old classic published by Eidos Interactive, developed by Iron Storm. Released in June 23 in year 2000, setting place in year 2052. You are playing as JC Denton, an agent of UNATCO, in his quest to reveal the truth on what is happening in the world. Welcome on my review on this 20-year-old classic. The story starts as JC just finished his training and went on his first mission to liberate Liberty Island, as NSF has taken control of the island, with the help of Paul Denton, his brother. Next, JC then sent to help tracking down stolen shipment of ambrosia, a cure of sickness that infected millions of people, called Great Death. JC was supposed to be helped by Paul, but he went AWOL after a failed raid. Now it's up to JC to track down the stolen ambrosia. His track led him to LaGuardia Airport, where the stolen ambrosia possibly loaded to an aircraft. After JC found the aircraft, Paul reached him and explained to JC that he has joined NSF, and there is some global conspiracy on what is happening in the world. The truth is that Great Death is man-made sickness, and the UNATCO only giving the cure on select people. Back at UNATCO HQ, JC then sent to Hong Kong to eliminate Tracer Tong. But before that, JC went back to New York trying to help Paul that has been wounded, and his skill switch activated, which will make Paul dead within 24 hours. Paul instead asked JC to send distress call on NSF allies from all around the world. After that, UNATCO found out what happened, and the one responsible for all of this was an organization named Majestic 12. They turned on JC's kill switch and chased JC back to Paul's apartment. There, Paul asked JC to go, while he stayed and hold them down. But in the end, JC ended up captured and sent to unknown location. While in prison, JC being contacted by unknown entity named Daedalus, and he helping JC out of wherever he is at the moment. On his way out, JC realized that he is, in fact, being held inside the UNATCO HQ in the first place. Once out, JC then flee to Hong Kong to meet Tracer Tong, who knows the way to turn off the kill switch. After helping some of the deeds, he finally met with Tracer Tong, and then he is finally saved from the kill switch. Next, Tracer Tong asks JC to infiltrate VersaLife building and find out that the corporation is responsible on the Great Death. After stealing the virus blueprint and destroy the universal constructor that produced the virus, Tracer Tong inspects the virus blueprint, then find out it was manufactured by the Illuminati, and asks JC to go to Paris and make contact with Illuminati leader there. In Paris, JC established contact with Illuminati leader, again by helping with some deeds with NSF allies. JC finally meets with Illuminati leader, Morgan Everett, and learn that he knows about Daedalus, and explain that in fact it is an AI, and Everett was trying to control Majestic 12 communication network by releasing Daedalus to US military network, but Page instead released his own AI, Icarus. With VersaLife Universal Constructor already destroyed, Majestic 12 is going to attack Vandenberg Air Force Base, where a group of former Area 51 scientists has built Universal Constructor recently. After aiding the base personnel in repelling Majestic 12 attack, JC meets with their leader, Gary Savage.
I'm Dr. Savage. Thank you. We were close to surrendering when you landed.
Here where Carus merged with Daedalus to form a new AI, Helios. Then Savage asked JC to help him getting schematics to repair damaged Universal Constructor during Majestic 12's raid on Vandenberg Air Force Base. When JC finally finds the schematic, then Page interrupts the transmission and launch missile at Vandenberg Air Force Base to ensure that Area 51 will be the only location with an operational Universal Constructor. After stop missile strike, JC then go to Area 51 and finally confront Page. Page revealed that he seeks to merge with Helios and gain full control over nanotechnology. Here, Jesse is contacted by Tracer Tong, Morgan Everett, and Helios at the same time. Each one of them asks for his help in defeating Paige while furthering their own personal objective. Here where the ending will branch. Later, Jesse joined the Illuminati by letting the world back being led by unseen entity without people realize.
And eventually, we will lead them into the day.
Or help Tracer Tong by disable all the communication technology that create all this mess in the first place.
Nominal functional levels will be exceeded in 3, 2, 1.
Or choose to merge with Helios, then become world dictator for the sake of human betterment.
Many that live in darkness that must be shown the way, for it is the dawning of a new day.
The end! My personal take on the story itself is fine. It's revolved around conspiracy and conspiracy theory. Even Illuminati is real deal here. And the multiple ending. Okay, look, this game is released in 2000, okay? At that time, game that has multiple ending is many, but still uncommon. And this game at least tried to make the game to have multiple ending. But for me at least, I feel the branching for the ending is too convenient, because all of the branching is happened in the last stage of the game. While usually, game at that time which has multiple endings have branching way back even before the game is at midpoint. And the ending is just a writing. Personally, it is a bummer to be honest. No epilogue showing on what happened to the other when I don't take their decision. It's just words regardless of the choice I take. What makes me uneasy though is that I make this review in 2020 with the pandemic that happened. This game tone and social problem is so eerie similar with what happened in the world right now. From some people thinking that the government just letting the people die, doctor that got called for thinking about himself instead of treating the people, corporation getting rich from selling antivirus, not to mention nationalist versus globalist argument that sometimes spouted by the NPC in the game, where nationalists were represented by the Chinese government while the globalists by everyone else joining the UN. Heck, there's even a debate whether it is better with Western style democracy or Chinese communism in the game. That looks very similar with what you will see in the YouTube comment section today. This game somewhat taking issue in 2020 and make it into a game in 2000 with setting in 2050 without dev ever realized. Now the gameplay. Okay, before I jump to the gameplay, I need to highlight some the issue I faced before I even playing the game. Firstly, since this game released 20 years ago, even spouting hardware spec that I don't recognize at all except this one, ATI, yes! That's the only one I know. Okay, obviously this game is super old, meaning there might be an issue with compatibility with modern hardware. For example, the max resolution is 720p and apparently it's also using only one core. Then there is this weird mouse movement that pisses me off and making me shout, how the fuck to turn it off! But all of this were fixed thanks to Deus Ex from Candy.net that fixed all of the compatibility issue with modern hardware. Even the screen resolution, man, I now can play in 1080p. Then in the menu screen, wait a minute, did I just saw separate tutorial level? Yes, separate tutorial level. Oh man, I missed this. Nowadays most games just make tutorial level at the first start of the game, and honestly, if it doesn't meet properly, it ends up annoying at best and pisses me off and immersion breaking at worst, and sometimes just make me shout, yes, I know! Or even in the case of Driver in PS1, what the fuck is this shit? By having separate tutorial level that doesn't affect in-game level progression, This type of tutorial can be used on focusing everything about the game mechanic without separating the gamer's focus between gameplay mechanic and exposition, especially if the game is story driven. But I believe most of the time people will just skip this part of the game and just entering the game while bitching on why the game doesn't explain the mechanic. Really? Seriously though, on first gameplay, mandatory tour level is fine, nothing wrong with that. But it's getting boring when you have to repeat in every single new game. Go ask Skyrim community. Also check out my last video about Skyrim, by the way. Next, let's jump into the gameplay. The gameplay itself is old, let's be real here. Aiming not using right mouse click, instead right click is used as interact button. And then, do you guys wanna know how to differentiate a game that tailored specifically to a PC if they also use all the number and F keys as a shortcut? And then just look at this keyboard control! Then there's in this game that I hate personally, the gun mechanic. Basically you can't just pew pew yourself like modern game. There is a mandatory aim time from max size reticle to the small size. Now people joking on how modern FPS has super soldier aim with that center precision when they shot aim down sight. Guys, look at this then. This is the opposite of that feel. Look how big the reticle is on the first level. And I need to wait before shooting? And the moment it's small enough, then I need to adjust my aim because obviously the enemy is moving. I know that this can be improved with skill, augmentation and weapon mods, but still. And because of this crap, I think this game is more enjoyable by going stealth. At least for me. Now, the stealth feature. If we compare with today's standard, yeah, it's obviously absurd. Like this range right now, in modern games, I'll be detected already because of the viewing distance. But this is 20-year-old game. I give him some slack in this regards though. With lockpicking skill, hacking skill, electronic skill, dude, this game is almost an easy mode because you don't need to search the area for codes or keys to unlock the door. And speaking of skill, the skill system and augment system is simple enough. The skill system basically unlocked by purchasing the skill with skill point to progress, but I kinda pissed off on augmentation system, not the turn on or turn off system whenever you need the augmentation. That's fine, makes sense at least. But when you don't give list or any clue about all the augmentation you can give on JC, that pisses me off. And this kind of gimmick is common in RPG game back then. This kind of stuff will make or break a character build. Me, for example, I don't find stealth augmentation until way later in the game, when all augmentation slots are full. And this game don't give any choice to remove the augmentation. Are you fucking kidding me? Thank God it's internet age. With simple googling I could bypass this bullshit system. And thank God most RPGs nowadays just show all the skill you can get and the requirement it needs. Oh yeah, one more thing. No autosave as far as I know. Well, this is norm back then. You need to manually save the game or you will lose all of your progression. But at least you can save anywhere you are and anytime you want. Meaning anytime you need to do something dangerous, you can still just save the game, and if you fail, just load the game. Well, it's not cheating if it's feature. Am I right? 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 Guys? Now the content. Well, don't ask graphic. Dude, again, this is 20 years old game. And this game trying as close as reality as possible back then. So polygon count is limited, hence the square shape. By the way, I don't know about you, but I feel like the anime is inspired from Robocop. No, not the new one, obviously, the old one. Just like, look at this mech over here! It's similar to Robocop anime AD209 and the uniform of Majestic 12 too. It's reminiscent to their uniform. Or maybe it's just me. And then there is this badass trooper that both hands can wield machine gun and rocket launcher at the same time? Why can't I do that? Putting guns on JC's arm? Or maybe it's too OP, but it looks sick! Look at it! Instead I got stuck with firearms. Okay, technically that thing is also a firearm, but you know what I mean. But at least it can be mod and can have pinpoint accuracy like look! And what the hell with the scope movement? I feel like JC is not a secret agent, but Babushka that spent whole night drinking vodka when he is aiming, even with trained level skill. And apparently the guns somewhat change in behavior if you put different mods. Like the pistol, if you put laser sight on it, it will be dead center on the laser point, but it went back to standard aim system if you put scope on top of that. Just why? Then the level design. Oh man, I love when developer makes stealth game not giving only one route to enter a building. Like seriously, every level have at least 2 ways to infiltrate a building. Heck, even entering a locked room can be done by lockpicking the door, looking for the keys, or sometimes just... Then there is one thing that annoys me and can be very fatal in this game. Okay, if you guys have seizure, please skip at this time, okay? Or turn off your monitor for a minute. Guys, seriously, do it. This is your last warning, okay? Okay, you have been warned. Guys, what the fuck is going on with the flickering lamp? It's so annoying! As far as I know, I don't have seizure, okay? But the area that has flickering light in this game is so bad, sometimes it makes my muscle feels weird. I'm not joking. And it's not just 1 or 2 area, but there's a lot of area like this. I don't know what makes the flickering this horrible. Maybe the refresh rate that doesn't fit with modern LED or LCD monitor, since back then most computers still using CRT, but honestly, I don't know. If you have seizure, stay away from this game, and I mean it. Now you can turn on your monitor back. And then lastly, the music. The music and score in this game is spot on, giving you nice cyberpunk vibe on this game, but very distinct 80s, 90s futuristic movie feels. Just listen to this. And this. And this. Look, it's good, okay? But I hate the execution because I'm playing stealth and the music is always on and it's break my gameplay to the point where I need to turn it off and I can't enjoy the music as a result. But that's my personal problem. Still though, the fucking main title music, man, oh my god, just listen. This game is really not aged well if you compare it to modern game. Stealth mechanic that a bit off, gunplay that is weird with sometimes tanky movement. But guess what? A lot of modern games have done worse where this game shine. And they still need to learn a lot from this game by how to balance a skill by limiting the augmentation according to body part, level design and stealth mechanic. Even though it's a bit off, it's not half as than most of modern game with obligatory stealth mission and tutorial level that focus 100% on tutoring the player on the gameplay mechanic. Not to mention this game is dirt cheap, especially when on sale. Unless you have a seizure, there's no reason to not try this game. If you have played this game, share with us in the comment section below. What do you think? And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And see you in the next video.